Oh, well, hello, my wonderful, beautiful broskis and broskas of the Maverick Nation. Bitches! Dark Shadow Maverick's back. I am the Dark Shadow Maverick. Welcome to yet another new What If. Good guy, making so many of these that it's gonna be like nigh impossible to keep up with all of them. But I just feel that this is something that needs to be done. I just feel that this is something that needs to be done because that's just what I feel. Basically, what if Kakashi adopted Naruto? Yeah, pretty much adopted, but the way the story is going to go, it's more like going to save him. But adopted sounds more like, the status quo that I can deal with, not the status quo that makes me want to ram my head into a wall till I look like the freaking Ninja Turtles from the Michael Bay movie. Yeah. Two totally different status quos. One of them I can deal with, the other one makes me want to go all Ninja Turtle Michael Bay movie syndrome. Like head rammed into a wall. Yeah. I don't care if you want to make them look more realistic like turtles. When did realism ever matter in the freaking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? The title doesn't even make any sense concerning realism. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You guys tell me how much realism that title has in it. Yeah. Screw realism, this is Teenage Mutant freaking Ninja Turtles. Why the hell are you even, what is the point in trying to add realism to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? So the one good change that I do like about the whole, Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the fact that, April actually had, made, an impression on the Turtles before they had to save her. That she was actually the one, giving them the love for pizza. Because she would feed them pizza whenever they were just little turtles. That's like the one thing I liked about that freaking movie. Like the fact that April O'Neil is more involved, so she's less of a Princess Peach archetype. Like, good God. No sorry. I'm just glad that April O'Neil is contributing more. However, everything else is just no. No, thank you, sir. Oh, good God. I'm going to be talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Michael Bay movie. In fact, movies, because, well, it actually got a sequel. It took us this long to finally get a movie version of Krang. It took us this long! And by God, I don't even like. Screw Michael Bay. I gotta calm myself down. I can do this. Basically, yeah. What if... I don't know, which one sounds like either shorter or more like correct? I guess Kakashi adopted. What if Kakashi adopted Naruto? Part 1. Now we're gonna go way back into flashback land for the very start of this freaking thing. All the way back to when like Naruto was like freaking 3. Because this would have been the freaking, well, age whenever. They would have been like the Civilian Council and the Shinobi Council, like fighting tooth and nail. Like the Civilian Council and the Shinobi Council. The Shinobi Council would have been heavily against what the Civilian Council would be trying to push. The Civilian Council, what they'd be trying to push is that, well, Sarutobi, the third Hokage Sarutobi, like Hiruzen Sarutobi, needs to stop, like, freaking babysitting Naruto. Yet the kid's only 3. That's basically the point that the Shinobi Council's trying to make, is the kid is only 3. Yet you want the Hokage, the only person who doesn't hate him, pretty much, in this village, to stop taking care of him. And the civilians actually give the Civilian Council, the entirety of the Civilian Council, actually give the Shinobi Council look like, yes, that's exactly what we want. We don't give a shit about Naruto's well-being. We don't care. We want him out of the custody of Hiruzen Sarutobi, our third Hokage. The Sundami, or whatever the frick his name is. They literally admit they don't give a shit. They just want him out of the freaking picture of Sarutobi taking care of him. And the Civilian Council are surprised like the freaking gall. At the same time, they're not surprised because, well, Shinobi Council are surprised at the gall, but at the same time not surprised because everything else the Civilian Council has ever tried to push has always been more or less the same as this, but different in some ways. In other words, they're corrupt and money-grubbing as hell. And the Shinobi Council knows this. And Hiruzen is just having to listen to all this bullshit getting thrown around. And Kakashi, being one of the freaking Anbu guards, basically one of the Anbu, or at least, a notice was given that he was going to retire eventually. Basically, seeing as, basically, Naruto was the last thing that Minato, basically, the Undaime of the Hidden Leaf Village, left. The last thing that he left. Naruto was the last thing that he left, basically. And, well, Minato was Kakashi's sensei. And, well, he basically failed everyone else in his life. By not only killing Rin to stop the Three Tails from attacking the Leaf, but, kind of failing to save Obito from a giant freaking rock slide super jutsu, in which Obito finally figured out the gift that he wanted to give Kakashi, which is the reason why he has the Sharingan. Obito gave him his to implant into his eye, the one with the scratch across. Yeah. Damn. And so basically, with Naruto being the last thing that Minato left, and Minato being Kakashi's, sensei, and the fact that Minato's actually dead, and he wanted Naruto to be seen as a hero. Kakashi, you would think that he would think, about doing something, but sadly, any attempts at this were thwarted formally, and because of this, Naruto was basically, taken out of Hiruzen's hands and put within the care of the orphanage, which is mostly under control of the civilian council members. Damn it. Ouch. That's gotta sting. Ow. Ooh, ow. Oh, I'm feeling for Kakashi right now. Ooh, that's gotta sting. Plus, the majority of the civilian council members, Kakashi doesn't even like. And the same with them, Tim. They don't like him either. So, this basically happened whenever Naruto was 3, is whenever he was taken out of Hiruzen's care. And now, we basically pull a freaking My Hero Academia and skip to whenever, Naruto was freaking 5. That's like 3 years. Like 2 years, 3 years. Blah, blah. It would have been 2 years, actually, I think. I'm pretty sure it would have been 2. Basic math, and I'm like screwing myself over with basic math. Good God. Like 2 years, I guess. Like 2 years within, the care of the orphanage. Mostly ran by the members of the civilian council. Or at least, like, relatives of the members of the civilian council. Even by those standards, it was better off with Hiruzen in terms of how he's treated. So much so that Naruto's actually tried several attempts at trying to GTFO the place. Yeah, and even Naruto, at the age of like freaking 5, knows this is not a place that's going to treat him like an actual, human being. If anything, he'll be glad if they, even decide to treat him subhuman. Like, if they even give him that luxury. Even less than subhuman. They treat him even less than subhuman over at the orphanage. But then, what do you expect whenever it's run by those types of people? As until one day, when Naruto is finally freaking 5, basically, he's, basically ran all the way to basically, as far as his little, 5-year-old legs can take him, until he finally just collapses out of exhaustion. So he's basically taking a nap in a cluster of bushes. The closest thing to an actual bed that he's actually had. Oh boy. Basically, what's happening with Kakashi now? Well, it's basically been 2 years since that whole meeting went in between the Shinobi Council and the Civilian Council, with Yambu on standby in case he hears and needs them to show the frick up out of nowhere, just like always. Kakashi's for 2 years now has no longer been part of the Yambu, because just recently, as of that meeting, he was going to retire. So it's been like around 2.5 years in which he has not been part of the Yambu anymore. And well, it seems that every night that he tries to go to sleep, he has nightmares of both like what he considers failing Obito and also failing Ren. And even failing his sensei, which really that had nothing to do with him, what happened to Minato. Minato freely gave up his own life. And Kushina, just to keep back the Nine Tails, gave up hers. But still, it plagues his mind, all of those deaths, people he really cared about. So it would have been just one of those nightmares in which Kakashi would have just woken up in a screaming fit, with a cold sweat and everything, and with his Mangekyo Sharingan freaking flaring up, because he would have had like a really bad nightmare. Like it would have been some of that Tsukiyomi shit. And it would have been so bad that Kakashi wouldn't even know if he was still dreaming or not. That is until, well, he ends up trying to pinch himself, and whenever he realizes that pinching himself actually did indeed hurt, not a lot, but it did indeed hurt at least a little, he realizes he's finally no longer dreaming. I mean, like, finally. Like, you just be done. Like, be done with this shit. Be like, finally. And just, well, Kakashi would just go out for himself a little stroll to try to keep his mind off of everything in a more healthier way than what he had been doing before. You know, constantly drinking himself to sleep, trying to calm his nerves. You know, several people that are close to him now, like Asuma, Kurenai, and Guy, and several others, you know, like Enko and Ibiki, even them, and even Iruka, would all be like, you know, that's not exactly the best thing to do to yourself. So Kakashi would finally end up taking their advice and find a different way to, you know, get rid of his, well, little things that have been ailing him for quite some time. And that would be, you know, finally just like taking a good old stroll, you know, through the village. Not, you know, doing any building hopping. Just a random ass stroll out in the middle of the public. So he would finally come towards the sort of like, I guess you could call it mouth agape of the leaf forest. in which, as soon as he got to, like, the very, like, entrance, he would hear something not too far away from him. You know, the sound of quivering and, like, slight crying. Basically, quivering and sniveling and, like, rustling around, like, movements, like, almost like somebody was trying to fidget and swipe around them, like, fight for their life. This is basically Naruto having a nightmare of his own. You know, the way that he's been treated ever since he was outside the care of, you know, basically ever since he learned how to speak, the one he called Hokage Gigi. And, well, as soon as, you know, Kakashi realized this and pretty much realized exactly who this was, and also just be like, wait, what? Wait, what? Aren't you supposed to be in the care of the daycare? Like, people, like, you know, Kakashi being put two and two together, considering that he had indeed walked past the daycare building, and nothing looked to be like, you know, broken shit, and nobody looked to really be complaining about a missing, you know, child. Kakashi ends up putting two and two together. Naruto GTFO'd that place. He just went all out in getting out of there. It finally had enough. After like 2 to 2.5 years of constant suffering, beyond suffering, my God. Kakashi, as anyone with a brain cell could imagine, you know, knowing that this kid is basically the only thing that Minato basically left, except for, you know, the Namikaze clan compound, but that's really only accessible if you're someone with, you know, like, Namikaze, like, chakra, like, who is unfurling the seals in order to open the gate to get there. But even still, there's like a bunch of traps that would kind of really screw you over if you weren't really good at dodging. Like, Piccolo, like, dodge! TFS Piccolo. I freaking love that shit. Yeah. Basically, the only thing that Minato really left, besides the Namikaze compound, is basically Naruto. Naruto's basically the only living, like a sort of thing that Minato left whenever he died. Basically, like, Minato and Kushina left. Which basically, Uzushiogakure, how the frick you pronounce that name? Uzushiogakure was freaking destroyed by several different villages united together to kill their asses. So, really, Kushina couldn't really contribute anything. It is unless she had some seals prepared for whatever this shit happened. Then she didn't know this was going to happen, so how could she? So, yeah. The only other thing left being the Namikaze compound itself. Because you can't exactly move that shit. Like, I mean, it's nailed down there pretty deep into the ground, so you can't exactly move that shit. Unless you're like freaking Hashirama. So basically, Kakashi, 2 plus 2 equals 4, you know, and him doing that in his head, you know, that whole thing, that whole biz. Basically realizing the basis of the state which Naruto's in, he would go back all the way to where the orphanage was. You know, go to knock on the door, and, you know, the person who owns the damn place would open it, and, well, it would seem nice at first, that's until they noticed Naruto, then they wouldn't be so nice. And Kakashi would pick up on this. The lady there, they wouldn't think that Kakashi would be able to pick up on this. They were very, 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 very wrong. Kakashi picks up on this, and, well, basically, all the paperwork that was signed to get him into the orphanage in the first place, it just grabs the whole stack, and with one slash of a kunai, shreds it. And Kakashi would be like, give this woman the death stare. Like, you will speak of none of this. And the lady would just be like, yes, sir. And, well, basically, little, 5-year-old Naruto, you guys may be wondering, how the hell is, Kakashi going to have, all the stuff for Naruto, and still have stuff for himself? All the leftover shit. I mean, I assume, being a former Anbu member, he would still have quite the amount of money left. And, well, yeah, basically. Also, being the literal, student of Minato Namikaze, which means that if, he ever got connected to Naruto in any sort of parentage sort of way, he could indeed, get some of that Namikaze fortune to help with taking care of the boy. And Kakashi makes it known everything that was happening to Naruto, and how much he was just being neglected. Not only were they being absolute assholes, but they weren't taking care of him in the slightest. He basically had to learn how to self-survive everything. Basically leaving him, a lot of him in a state of mega super duper disrepair. So yeah, Kakashi had some work to do concerning the well-being of Naruto. Basically, after, the first, couple of years, basically Naruto would be 8, 3 years went by. Naruto, 8-year-old Naruto, basically look up to Kakashi as literally his father. Even though, seeing as Anbu do have these secrets that they know about because of their, connections. And even the fact that Kakashi was literally the student of Minato, which is basically Minato was Naruto's father, actual father. Kakashi wouldn't tell him about his heritage. That his own sensei, Minato Namikaze, is his father, and, well, basically his wife, the Red Hot Habanero, and pretty much the last of the Uzumaki clan that were of, the land of Whirlpool, like, Ujishi or whatever the frick you pronounce that as. She was basically the last of them, or at least that would have been the case had it not been for Naruto existing in this big old world. And Naruto taking all that in, the fact that Kakashi's more of a, adopted father in a sort of way, and that his real parents are actually dead. And Naruto actually wants to know, like, were they dead because they were, trying to, like, were they just up and killed by the Nine Tails, or were they trying to defend the village? Like, what happened? And basically, Kakashi, with all this knowledge that he has because of the fact that he's one of the Anbu, and the fact that Hiruzen just feels overall bad for Naruto, he wouldn't let Kakashi spill the secrets. I mean, this is heavily against what the Yondami actually wanted, but, both Kakashi and Hiruzen at this point consider the fact that basically, maybe it's better if he did know this stuff earlier on, like Naruto. Or, know this stuff earlier on. Maybe it would be better than, telling him later and have him possibly take his anger out on the village for keeping shit like this from him for so damn long. So, yeah. Basically, Naruto's told about, everything early. Real early, at the age of 8. That's how early. He's told about the fact that his real father and real mother, basically, when I say real father and real mother, is because, well, Kakashi was the initial one to adopt Naruto. Basically, Kakashi feeling that, it would kind of suck for Naruto to not also have a mother, yet he doesn't really have the best luck with women, especially because of the fact that, ever since what happened with Rin, he, has kind of been a little, dodgy whenever it comes to, a concept of actually relationships with women. That's whenever, a certain dangomaniac, I guess you could say dangomaniac, of a woman, he doesn't indeed seem to notice that, the fact of her relationship with Orochimaru, how that's basically gives her a lot of the same looks that, other people used to give Naruto. Well, they still give Naruto. Basically, this certain person being Anko Mitarashi. Yes, Anko, realizing just how similar her and Naruto are in the fact of they're both despised for the village they live in. Anko would, seeing as she's already friends with Kakashi, try her hand at, a relationship with Kakashi. And actually they hit it off a lot better than most people would think. Considering that Kakashi actually believes that Anko gives a shit. And why wouldn't she? I mean, she has every reason to give a shit. So, yeah, basically, Kakashi was the initial one to adopt Naruto. uh, quotes, adopt, Kakashi decided that it would be nice to complete everything, like Kakashi filling in the position of his sensei in the way of being, Naruto's father, but there's no one to kind of fill Kushina's position of being Naruto's mother, or mother figure at least. That is until, Enko kind of steps up to the plate and finally just, not only confesses to the fact that she actually does want to help the kid because of how similar they are, how frighteningly similar. Well, yeah, the similarities being probably one of the worst things to happen to both of them. The fact that they're similar in the way that they're hated by the village. The only difference is that Naruto was always hated, which Enko was only hated after everyone knew about her affiliation with Orochimaru. Before that, she wasn't nearly as hated. Which just gives Enko an extra reason to want to help the kid in being his mother figure. Plus, she doesn't even know that she really likes Kakashi, too. So, that's extra pointers. And Kakashi likes, Enko, actually. They have indeed spent a lot of time with each other. While Kakashi, not only is an Anbu, but Kakashi, even whenever he's a Jonin, they spend time, so they already are off at a very good start. To a very good start, basically. So, yeah. Sooner or later, basically at the time of, Naruto's birthday. Yeah, around whenever he would hit his 8th birthday, he would be given the news that he would have a mother. And that, just like him, she held a very, very high standard, sort of affiliation within the Leaf Village, like a very high standards job. And this gives them basically even more money to take care of Naruto and, stay afloat. And Anko, knowing this, just decides to move in with Kakashi, that is, if he feels like, that would be a good thing. And Kakashi isn't stupid, he knows about the money benefits. So, why not? Plus, they already really, really, really like each other. So, eventually, Naruto, is not only, Kakashi not only reveals to him that, basically he's gonna have a new mother figure, but in the way is basically, he's getting married, basically, to someone who already wants to take, care of him, even before the whole marriage thing was brought up. Yeah, there's basically, the first ever ship in this is going to be Kakashi Anko. I mean, why not? I mean, this is the perfect chance for Naruto to actually have a mother as well. And actually, Naruto, because of the fact that, basically, around the time of his 8th birthday, there is a knock on the door heard, and seeing as Naruto is aware that around this time, it's basically around dinner time because his dad is making dinner. I mean, at the moment, he's the only one around there that can actually, cook. Naruto's an okay helper, but he can't cook on his own. So Kakashi's the only one who can cook, and, he's right now in the middle of making dinner. So basically, whenever there would be a knock on the door, Kakashi wouldn't even have to, tell Naruto or ask Naruto. Naruto would basically already know that before he does indeed answer the door, he at least has to look through the peephole to make sure it's not anything dangerous or, like, suspect. And indeed, he has seen this person before talk with his, dad figure. He just likes calling Kakashi dad because the only other dad that he's ever had is, like, currently, dead, and I did not mean to rhyme. Basically, he's seen Naruto with this person, like, you see, Naruto has seen Kakashi with this person before, so, like, Naruto's like, how dangerous could they indeed be? Like, besides, they seem pretty happy whenever they talk to each other, so what harm could it possibly be done? And Naruto ends up figuring out that as, like, his birthday present, like, finally actually, getting treated to actual birthdays, as, like, one of his biggest birthday presents that he's ever gotten, a mother in this Mitarashi Enko person. Like, Kakashi had told Naruto that he was getting married to someone. He didn't want to keep Naruto completely in the dark for too long. Also with some extra incentive by Enko to not do that, or else there would be major hell to pay. Whenever she finally, got into this, wholeheartedly and completely. And not wanting to test Enko, Kakashi would indeed at least tell Naruto that he was indeed, like, basically, getting married. Basically, yeah. So, basically, yeah. You would see this person, and, well, Kakashi would have dropped the name Enko Mitarashi before, so Naruto would be completely ignorant. You would even realize the whole tongue thing with this lady, and how Kakashi had made slight hints to that. Yes, in this Naruto, because of the fact that he's kind of underneath Kakashi, like, him as a parent figure, he's going to be very, very smart. Very smart. Like, Kakashi was on the same Anbu squad as Itachi, and Itachi's a freaking super genius. By his own clan, he was considered a super genius. Not really a super... whatever, he was basically genius material. By his own clan, considered genius material. And considering he got into the Anbu at the age of 13, last time I checked, yeah, if he was on the same squad as Itachi, with Itachi being the captain, actually, yeah, you better think Kakashi's going to be really smart, and teach Naruto to be really smart. So basically, Naruto can piece this all together. This person is going to be his new mother. It kind of makes sense now to Naruto. Like, there have been so many times where Kakashi's been up with this person, and so many things, like, compiling on top of each other, down to the fact that, well, basically, how she greets him whenever he finally decides to open the damn door. And Naruto explains that it's just because of a certain, I guess you could say, protocol. He has to look through the little peephole thing to make sure that it isn't any sort of danger, before he actually opens the door, if it's ever a situation where he has to open it because Kakashi's doing something. And currently what he's doing is making dinner. And Enko's like, she's finally done with her little dango stick binging, and, well, she does indeed find that, seeing as, well, she was told not to, like, complete binge, because of something Kakashi had planned, Anko finally is aware of what Kakashi was planning. Dinner. It's sort of like a celebration. Naruto finally getting a mother. And, well, Naruto, basically, Anko would find that Naruto really does indeed seem to, actually does indeed seem to think very highly of her. Basically, if Dad likes you, then you must be a really good person. Anko, in response to that, basically, there really wouldn't be much, response to be, given. Anko would be in such, a type of shock that this kid just went up and said that to her. And, well, the longer and longer everything went by, actually, let's say that it was for a 6, because if I remember correctly, Academy starts at 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10. That doesn't make any sense. What the shit. Let's say that the Academy actually starts at the age of 9, so Naruto would have actually had a whole year. Let's say he is indeed 8, but the Academy starts at the age of 9, so 9, 10, 11, 12. And then Naruto's basically around 12 to 13. In the anime. So, yeah. Basically, let's say that he's 8, so he has an entire year before the Academy starts. An entire year to basically get to know this person before the Academy starts. Well, more than he already kind of does from, hearsay and anything and everything. Kakashi might, mention, kind of random. So an entire year, basically, Naruto has found that he kind of has a little bit of a likeness for certain things. That likeness basically extends to, well, he does indeed notice that his dad, whenever not being, full dad mode, doing the stuff that he, is supposed to do as a Jonin, is usually wearing his Jonin vest. The Jonin vest is green, but, that's really the only part that's all that green. Everything else is more or less, also cool colors. And by cool colors, I mean, warm colors to cool colors. Warm colors are oranges and your reds. And cool colors being your greens and your blues. And Kakashi seems to be wearing both cool colors. A green vest and, well, blue for, most of his other stuff. The majority of the rest of his outfit is, blue with, accessory stuff added on. And even the sandals are blue. And so Naruto ends up taking a big interest and liking in the color blue. And even though I myself, it's my least favorite color, and I think that only a few, successful, characters can pull it off well, to where it doesn't look like an eyesore for me. Take, in reference, Anko Mitarashi herself. For some reason, somehow, even though it's my least favorite color, Anko seems to pull it off well, with her purple freaking hair, tied in a freaking ponytail. Spiky ponytail, actually. Spike tail, could land before time up in this bitch. Basically, you know, Naruto also noting that Enko, basically the one color that doesn't need to stand out with her is her hair color, that being purple. And, well, these two things, Naruto realizing that besides the vest, there's a lot of blue that his dad wears. He wears a lot of blue. And, well, he also, like, realizes and notices a lot about a very standout thing about, his mother, whenever concerning colors, is her purple freaking hair. Purple of all colors. To have his freaking hair. And so Naruto, in like sort of like a, him separation from his normal style of things. I'm basically going to, tell you guys about Naruto's whole like main series drip, like how Sasuke's drip and Sakura's drip. Sasuke's drip only really changed like around the time of the Chunin exams finals. Is whenever his drip like changed for the first time ever. So basically, Naruto's drip for this, I'm gonna tell you guys what all that entails. So yeah, basically the freaking, instead of the standard blue shinobi sandals, they would be black. If not just for the fact that Naruto likes the concept of, differentiation from something that he sees so much of, which is the fact that every shinobi seems to be wearing blue sandals instead of any other color. That's basically what he notices, if most, if not all, seem to be wearing blue sandals. He just decides, differentiate himself by wearing black sandals. I mean, they're still like the standard sandals, just different color. And so, yeah, black sandals instead of blue ones. And, well, for like his pants and shirt and everything. Basically, you'd basically be wearing a carbon copy of like Kakashi's like pants, but instead of the blue, it would be, well, black. And, well, whenever it came to like his shirt, also be black, but more or less a carbon copy of, Kakashi's thing. Except for the vest. It would just basically be like the plain shirt, the plain pants, minus the vest. And in black. Instead of blue. And, well, in terms of anything else to note, basically, well, something to note would be, well, the fact that he doesn't just wear a single shirt with, like, the accessories that Kakashi, or at least close to what Kakashi's accessories are. He doesn't just wear a black shirt. He does indeed, have some, blue mixed in there. And by mixed in there, I mean literally like a freaking jacket basically like more or less a vest type jacket, but still jacket. Kind of like what Sasuke wears, but like in like vest forms, like it kind of like cuts through the middle, kind of like that type of thing. In blue, but it's a dark blue. And well, and sort of a commemoration of the fact that most of the people that follow Orochimaru that are like very high up there, basically, you know, otherwise known as the Sound 4, or Sound 5 if you include Kimimaro, he would have sort of like a purple sash. It's just something that Anko mentioned out of context to Kakashi one time. They didn't think Naruto was listening, but he was. And so he would kind of have like a little bit of purple sash. Kind of like the purple rope that, you know, all of the more higher up people and Orochimaru himself wear. It's not necessarily purple rope, it's more or less a purple sash type thing. Like, that he wraps around his, basically like his, entire midsection. In the way in which, like, it's wrapped around with Orochimaru's rope. It's sort of like a symbolization of, like, his mother and her history with this really bad man, you know, Orochimaru. But it's still a part of their history. And, you know, those that, you know, forget about history are the ones that are doomed to repeat it, basically. You know, something along the lines of that. So Naruto does indeed sort of commemorate that time in his mother's life. He does indeed have that purple sash around, like, his midsection. In the way that Orochimaru and the Sound 5 indeed have that as well. But instead of purple rope, it's like a purple sash. Well, basically anything else that's like the purple sort of like not just instead of like the basically dark blue like vest jacket sort of thing that he would have going on over his black shirt. Basically also like purple like sash thing around his waist. And well, to be honest, his freaking hair. It wouldn't be in the ponytail or it wouldn't be in the gravity-defying style. It would still be in, you know, Naruto style Naruto style like hairstyle. It wouldn't be the ponytail. It wouldn't be the gravity-defying hair that Kakashi has. It would still be Naruto's hairstyle, but the hair color would be different. As sort of a commemoration for like his mother. Like most of his outfit is like more of a in commemoration of his father. So he decides what little he, you know, can think of, he will indeed do for like everything else. For like basically, you know, his, you know, mother in this sort of case. So indeed, he decided, actually no, I want to, I do indeed want to change the hairstyle as well. Basically, though it won't be in the gravity-defying style of Kakashi, And it won't be in the ponytail. It will indeed kind of have um his hair will kind of be like Kimimara's, except for like like a line through the middle where there's like no hair. That won't be there. It will all be hair. Like the line through where there's no freaking hair will not be there. There will still be hair there. That's like the only difference from Kimimara's hairstyle, except for the color. It will be the same color as his mother's hairstyle color. It will basically be Kimimara's hair, but instead of like the line through, which is like a big old freaking squiggly freaking line, zigzag line, there will be like full hair, like no separation. So basically just Naruto, but with long hair that hangs down. Basically like Itachi's hair, I guess. Yeah, Naruto basically with Itachi's hair. Only instead of black, it's purple. And with basically like the tint of hair, like darker purple or lighter purple, well, at least towards more of a darker purple. Darker purple. But not be too dark to where it looks almost like it's meshing into a maroon or like a black color. It will be dark, but it won't be too dark to where it looks like it's turning into a different color. It will just be dark enough. What I'm basically trying to do here is, well, this Naruto knows everything. So, he's gonna be like loads different from canon Naruto. Plus with Kakashi and Enko, you know, he's gonna be loads different regardless if he knew everything or not. He knows about the fact that his original father was the young Daimyo, you know, friggin' fourth Hokage, the Yellow Flash himself, and that his mother was pretty much the last of his clan, you know, the people of Uzushi Obikure, the Uzumakis, like the land of frickin' Whirlpool, before it got decimated, basically, by several different freaking countries, you know, allying together to kick the shit out of them. They were so afraid of their abilities, and Fuinjutsu freaking release shit, that they literally decided to team up together to kick the shit out of them. You know what? Leave none alive type, fashion. Which, considering the relationship in between the Leaf and Whirlpool, I'm surprised that that didn't cause a war with the Leaf and everyone who was responsible for Whirlpool's, like, destruction. I'm surprised that that didn't cause a war over that, considering how good friends, like, Whirlpool and, like Fire Country were. Like, that's just, wow. Just damn. So yeah, basically you guys got the, the whole idea of Naruto's strip, and even, like, the difference in his hair. And you guys may be wondering, like, what about the difference in his personality, though? Like, you'd say he would be, like, different because he knew all this shit. But yeah, he does indeed know all this shit about, the fate of the Uzumaki clan, the fact that, like the Yondaime, who freaking sacrificed his life to seal away half of the Nine Tails within his dying self, and the other half inside of him, because he wanted him to be known as a great hero with the power of the Nine Tails. But, as we can clearly tell, that did not happen. Instead, the exact opposite happened. At least for a good over 2 years. But now that he not only knows like everything about that, but also but that's the reason why everyone treats him like shit in the village. Because, they all believe that he's basically the Kibino freaking Yoko, or Kibino Kitsu, whatever the freak you want to call it, in like reincarnated form. Like they actually believe he is the Nine Tails, taking human form. Instead of, the more like actual conclusion, which would have been he just contains the damn thing. I don't know what the frick kind of water the freaking civilians are drinking to make them such assholes, but whatever kind of water it is, I don't want any. Because I don't enjoy the prospect of being an asshole to somebody unless they actually do indeed deserve it. So, yeah. So, he's even aware, because he's, also Namikaze, not just Uzumaki, he would indeed have the ability to pour his chakra into the seals, the Namikaze compound, and sort of, make that shit his own. But, Naruto wants to say that for a later date whenever he does have to eventually move out. And, well, yeah, basically every single secret of the village, and even the Hokage, and basically even his own father wanted to keep from him. Not necessarily wanted, but, were basically classified as SS class freaking secrets, from, like, the entire, like, village, and even Naruto. Basically, he knows everything that he didn't know before. And this, if you don't think this is gonna change a person, you be freaking not only dead wrong, but stupid as hell. Because this like, bam, punch to the heart. Freaking, just, oh my god, it changes him. And don't get me wrong, don't, get things sideways. He still, has those lovable traits of, the huge Naruto, but he's also got a lot of Sasuke's, more, twisted traits. As in twisted as in, so many things kept from him, and, well, even the shit about the fact that I would want to rip some of the Ondaime a new one as fast as freaking possible. Iwagakure, those assholes. So, yeah. If you didn't want your people to get killed by the Yellow Flash, maybe you shouldn't have started a war with the freaking place that he is the Kage of. Did you ever think of that? Did you ever think of the fact that maybe if you didn't want him to kill so many of your freaking men, you shouldn't have started a war with him? I mean, the guy is literally called the Yellow Flash for a reason. And the other jutsu that he has besides that is the freaking Rasengan. Literally, what were they smoking whenever they decided that that was a good idea? Some things I will never understand about this. Like, did their brain cells all just take a vacation for the moment? I'm pretty sure that's the case, considering, how stupid that is to, do that. But whatever. Whatever. Basically, the personality traits that would have basically either changed or basically been rearranged in any sort of way is, well, on a more creepier note, he would indeed have some similarities to Anko in the way of, well, scary as frick. And in all the, oh shit, like just that creepy as hell, you know how Anko was, whenever they finally got to the freaking training ground, and she was being all creepy as shit? It was the freaking, the grass ninja didn't even faze her. She was just like, why thank you, grass ninja, just returning your kuna, why thank you? And the shit that she pulled with freaking Naruto. Yeah. And I think, Ibiki is part of the interrogation and torture thing, and I think Anko is also a part of that in a way. Either that or those two are split, and one of them is part of. Basically, one or the other. Both are just not good for the person being either tortured or interrogated, or both. Especially both. Yeah. With Anko as his mother figure, you basically would indeed think that, with all the secrets that had basically just been unfolded onto him, yeah, he would indeed have a reason to change. Basically, any other sort of type of thing, well, he would indeed have Kakashi's sort of a deadpanness whenever it came to his whole dealio and everything. How he just constantly sounds deadpan, completely, until it's time to get serious. And Naruto would need to get that as well. He would also get the seriousness from his mother. That's another thing he would get from Anko and Kakashi. Both of them. So yeah, you best be prepared to deal with the wrath of some crazy mofo whenever Naruto gets serious in this little what if. Basically, what you're dealing with now with this Naruto, it's not the complete and total brightness of who he once was is gone. It's just that it's a lot less, evident in everyday life. And the cold, calculating eyes of the Uchiha clan, considering one of their own freaking assassinated all of them in cold blood, he would indeed have a type of, if the situation called for it, type of, eyes. He wouldn't even be, freaking Uchiha, but... And Kakashi has a Sharingan and he isn't a freaking Uchiha. Plus, during the same year that he kind of met up with Anko, would have been the same year that he made his first kill. Which would have been someone from the Anbu, which, seeing as Kakashi was no longer in the Anbu, they would have had to find someone to replace the spot. And, just the person, because of Danzo and his corruptness, he would have slipped one of his root members into the position of Anbu. Had a mission like for him to, send him and some other people out. Basically just go after Naruto so that they can take him out and use him as a weapon for Danzo's own little greedy little ambitions. However, that was a very bad decision, because after losing all the other guys who weren't part of Danzo's root Anbu, this person that wasn't even replacing Kakashi as his place in the Anbu would be the only one who would have found Naruto. Finally, after so damn long of chasing him down, Naruto would have realized that this guy's nothing like the others, and that he's completely emotionless, deadpan emotionless. Even more deadpan than him and his father. But, Naruto and Kakashi are just deadpan. This guy is deadpan emotionless. And, well, Naruto, instead of, being afraid of death, he would embrace it wholeheartedly to the point where it wouldn't be him that would be the one who was dying. It would be the other way around. That little part of him that admired his mother so much that he would be willing to change his hair color to her hair color. That's some serious admiration right there. And sometimes he wouldn't even sport the ponytail, the spiky ponytail, the spiker tail. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. Naruto, instead of being afraid of death, he would embrace it so much that it would go overkill, and he would have just slaughtered his first ever person. He would have just made his first ever kill before he even got into the freaking academy. He would have killed his first ever person before he even got into the first year of the academy. This is how just, he would have embraced, everything. And, Naruto would have been found by his parents eventually, just within the shock of the fact that he just now murdered someone. And by the time they had both found him, he would have been slowly but surely, coming out of the shock and, questioning, if, in some, way, and, woes or whatever, was he indeed the demon? Because he just killed someone in cold freaking blood, out of random, out of nowhere. Without even, a second thought. And, well, had it not been for his, instincts to actually be able to tell that he had done so, he probably would have killed more. Realizing this, Naruto would indeed be thinking, if he was indeed the, Nine-Tailed Fox. Completely forgetting about the whole thing of, the fox being sealed within him, not him actually being the fox. This is how much the shock would have hit him. And after that, after, getting sort of a double talk, both a talk from Kakashi and a talk from Anko, basically reassuring him ironclad, platinum-clad, basically that, he was merely the container, not the actual demon itself. And, well, this would have hit Naruto so much, like a ton of bricks. The whole realization that he could kill like this so easily without actually being the fox itself. that it just came naturally to him. And this person was figured out to actually be a secret member of Root, sent to go after Naruto, and in the midst of other Rambu, which were going towards the same destination, basically. And, well, the Hokage would have a few words to say with Danzo after this. A little incident. And so would Kakashi and Anko have a few words to say with Danzo. Shimura. Had it not been for the request of, the last, bit of time Naruto's left before he, gets into his first day of the academy, he wanted to be trained by his parents, in the way of being able to defend himself before he actually got in the midst of the academy, because now that he's felt the ways and woes of murdering someone, after experiencing that sort of rush to his, brain cells of, straight up 69ing somebody all the way to freaking hell. That's thing. You would think that's where someone underneath the employ of Danzo would freaking go, seeing as Danzo himself is a bunch of human trash, and that's putting it lightly. So, indeed, with the time that they had left, Kakashi and Anko would indeed train Naruto in their jutsus. At least the jutsus they could train him, considering his body at, the age he would be joining the academy. Basically, even though a good sum of jutsus. And one jutsu that would indeed be very, 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 a favorite of his, you could say, well, it's a favorite of his on his mother's side. He would really like the fact that he could finally now get down. He would finally be able to get down the ninja art, striking shadow snakes. Yes, the thing where freaking Anko shoots freaking snakes out of her arm. Naruto can do that. And anything, on, Kakashi's side, contributing. Kakashi, well, Kakashi, knowing how Naruto basically able to point out the obvious about the fact that even he now knows about Kakashi's hidden Sharingan eye, well, and the fact that he could copy shit, well, he would ask Kakashi, what's the Uchiha clans, what are they, most famous for, what is, the big old jutsu? Kakashi knows what the jutsu is, it's the fireball jutsu, but they have, a great fireball jutsu. Seeing as Kakashi, he already knows that Anko, in the middle of this, basically, Anko's also been training him, or at least decided to finally what she's going to train him in. Basically, not just the striking shadow snakes, but also in the Orochimaru style substitution jutsu. Yes, basically two different jutsus, actually. Basically, the striking shadow snakes and the Orochimaru style substitution jutsu. Which that indeed does take up a little bit of chakra, but it's nothing that Naruto, with his nigh infinite amount of chakra reserves, because of the fusion of the Uzumaki part and the Ninetales part, basically together like a freaking sandwich. So yeah, basically from Anko, what he's basically Kakashi also wants to do this, like at least teach Naruto 2 jutsus from like what he knows. So instead of just you know going for anything, knowing that basically that's what Anko is teaching him currently, the Orochimaru style substitution jutsu and the freaking striking shadow snakes. Seeing that, Kakashi feels challenged, actually, quite challenged, but, in a good way. He wants to see, like, nothing that is, like, uber kill, but nothing that's, like, wimpy whenever compared to their actual talents as ninjas before, like, parents. Like, they're, like, shinobi talents. Nothing that's considered wimpy to them, but nothing that could, like, uber kill somebody. So instead of just the regular fireball, Kakashi would decide that, he would rather, teach him the great fireball. And, well, basically, that would kind of be like 2.5 jutsus, because you would also like already have to have kind of a basis for the Great Fireball, which the basis would be the Fireball Jutsu. So kind of like 2.5 jutsus. Like he knows the Fireball, but he doesn't really use it all that much whenever compared to the much stronger Great Fireball. And well, the other jutsu that Kakashi, goes to teach Naruto. Basically, Kakashi straight up go for, even though he knows it's like a ridiculous amount of hand signs to actually do this jutsu. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch the, Kakashi versus Zabuza fight where they were both using the Water Dragon jutsu. Yes, that's right. Even though Kakashi knows it's kind of a ridiculous amount of hand signs, if he's like anything like him, he should be able to go through several hand signs very, 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 very fast. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, watch the, Team 7 rematch against Kakashi and Naruto Shippuden. So, yeah. Even though it's a bunch of different hand signs, if he's anything like him, which he does know he is, he should be able to go through that many hand signs very, 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 very fast. And indeed, Naruto is able to. Plus, he has 2 teachers instead of 1, which he can just bounce off of. So, by the time Naruto actually hits the academy, he knows, like, freaking crazy shit. Like, he knows the Orochimaru style substitution jutsu, and the striking shadow snake, and the great fireball, and the water dragon. I was trying to decide in between the Raikiri and the water dragon, but I'm, thinking that maybe for like a different time in this what if he could learn the Raikiri. But, seeing as it's a one-hit insta-kill move, like, sort of like a perfect execute, like, basically a perfect execution move, like one-hit kill, like, straight through your heart. Unless you're freaking Kakuzu. So, basically, any major jutsus that he knows are the Striking Shadow Snake, Orochimaru style substitution jutsu, the Water Dragon, and the Great Fireball. Which just so happens that in order to learn the Great Fireball, he kind of reverse engineered it where he was also able to learn the lesser jutsu, the just regular Fireball jutsu. So in a way, before he even hits the first year of the academy, he's also very, very, very loaded. Before he even hits the first year. Jesus Christ. Basically, yeah. Basically, the years of the academy, well, usually in canon, that Sasuke would be, not Sasuke, Cementos Ken. Anyways, well, Sasuke would usually be known to be the quiet kid in the class. There would actually be two quiet kids. Like, it would be more or less not that he didn't want to talk to anyone at all. He would only really talk to you if, well, you talked first. He's not going to talk to anybody unless they talk first. He's not going to go up to anybody and straight up just talk to them. That is, unless they're his parents, or Hokage Gigi, as he calls them. So, yeah, it's basically like Sasuke Light. Like Diet Sasuke. And, considering the whole reputation of the quiet kid. And basically, considering Naruto already knows so much, whenever it finally is time for the, freaking Genin exam, and the shuriken throw thing where Sasuke does the Wonder Woman twirl in midair, like, Wonder Woman! Because, like, he does the freaking Wonder Woman twirl in midair, throwing the shuriken, and, like, hits, like, all the freaking targets. Get 10 out of 10. And basically all the girls will be cheering for freaking Sasuke, like, oh, Sasuke-kun! Please get into my pants! I can't believe I just came up with that on the fly. But that kind of is what Sakura's like in, like, freaking, towards the end of freaking Shippuden, where, like, they meet up with that. It's kind of what she's like. Sasuke-kun, please get into my pants. Basically, yeah. But whenever it does come Naruto's turn, basically, Naruto decides that, this Sasuke guy thinks that a Wonder Woman twirl in the midair, while throwing the shuriken and getting all 10, oh, he thinks that's cool? Yeah, Naruto feels challenged. If you guys couldn't tell. Naruto feels indefinitely challenged by this. It almost feels to him like a declaration of war. Like, just trying to seem so suave, even though he's the last one of his freaking kind. In a way. Like, what do you gotta be all suave about? Just because you're a Uchiha doesn't make you special. You're the last one of your damn kind because everybody else got killed, you know. So Naruto just wouldn't see what other people see in him. Just be like, he isn't the only quiet kid in the class, so that can't be it. He's just trying to wrap his head around why everybody thinks Sasuke is so damn cool. I mean, he isn't the only quiet kid. Naruto's also very quiet. The only time he isn't quiet is whenever people actually try to talk to him first. And not many people want to go near him because the whole thing about Anko's reputation and the fact, yeah, they don't want any part of that. Plus, he's apparently, something to do with the Nine Tails. So yeah, double nope. Double freaking nope. But at least in this, because of the fact that Naruto isn't constantly in their faces, Sakura and Ino won't find him nearly as annoying. But Naruto really doesn't seem to give a shit, because he already knows that they're fangirls over freaking Sasuke. Actually, there is one thing that he seems to notice. It seems more and more that both him and Sasuke, put on the quiet kid act. The more and more Ino's having to wager which to actually pick. Because, just because Naruto's the quiet kid whenever it comes to the academy, doesn't mean he's always the quiet kid. But that doesn't exactly mean he's going to be like hyperactive knucklehead ninja. He more or less just drops by any place that will actually let him drop by. Just for non-toxic human interaction for once. Isn't his parents. And he just, he likes nature, so Ino's parents' little flower shop is a place that he frequents very often whenever he's not frequent, say, like, Ichiraku's. Because, both Kakashi and, Anka would try to get him to eat better. Anyways, yeah. And the fact that, Ino's parents' flower shop is a place that he frequents very often, that does indeed mean that, Ino is gonna see him from time to time. And sometimes even, want to talk to him, about why the frick he even, frequents, So basically, yeah, Sakura's the complete and total, hound over Sasuke. But Ino has been opening up a little bit more to, like, widen her, food palette. Like, there's more fish in the sea, like. And, technically, at least if you actually speak to him first, he won't completely ignore you. However, Sasuke, even if you do speak to him first, he'll still ignore you, so Ino is beginning to realize the chips in the armor of Sasuke Uchiha and his appeal. Naruto isn't even anywhere near dead last. And the prerequisites were kind of still set in stone. So the only way to really get around like any sort of leg room with this, like not have him stuck with Sakura and Sasuke. Well, basically the only one he's not really unstuck from or whatever. Basically, you know, instead of Team 7 being, canon Team 7, there would be one difference, but it would be a big difference in terms of how the story would go forward. In terms of how it would be going forward, basically. And this one, I've been sort of like a war inside my own head what the big difference would be as I started to think about it. Instead of there only being one Kunoichi, there's actually two Kunoichi and only one Shinobi. Yeah, that's right. Both Sakura and Ino are going to be a part of Team 7. It's because usually it's unexpected because usually Ino would be prepared, pretty much put up in the team with like Choji and Shikamaru because Ino Shikacho, the whole thing, like tradition. But, trying like unconventional means, plus like Anko and Kakashi, do you really want to upset them? Like, this is something that could help him grow without, like, having any, like, unnecessary speed bumps in the way of said growth. Having both Sasuke fangirls on a team with the other quiet kid in the class would totally break convention, and not only that, but it would rock the entire world. Pretty much anybody who, anything. Like, it would just be a total system shock. And so basically, the whole thing with Mizuki doesn't really happen. Why this is because, well, Naruto's not stupid. So basically, the moment he does indeed get home after Mizuki saying all that shit, he would inform his parents. His parents would expose Mizuki for the traitor that he is, and Anko would even get even more pissed whenever she figures out this is probably for Orochimaru, given what's happened in the past in between Mizuki and Orochimaru. Instead of that shit, one thing that would really surprise them is that basically what would come to pass would be, the whole thing, seeing as, like, Anko is, like, the newest member of the family, I'm gonna say that Naruto and everybody else passes, like, around the same time, and at the same time being somewhere close to Mother's Day. Anko being the newest member, I only feel this is fair. that Naruto actually, does something freaking amazing for her. Basically, while Kakashi's doing his own thing, basically Naruto would bring Anko out into the middle of their freaking backyard to show her something like this, like Kagebushin no Jutsu, like do 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 do, like 29 freaking Narutos just pop out of freaking nowhere, like making a total 30 Narutos. And the way they'd be organized, Anko would actually get on the roof in order to figure this shit out. They'd be organized in a message that said, Happy Mother's Day. Because there were actually some Narutos in the back that actually helped, because, like, the shadow clones made shadow clones. Like, the poof was so loud, you couldn't hear the shadow clones also say Kage Bushin no Jutsu. So even the shadow clones were, like, developed enough to make shadow clones of their own. And the entire message was read out like a Happy Mother's Day. And thank you. It wouldn't just say Happy Mother's Day, it would be Happy Mother's Day and thank you. And then all the clones would just poof away. And all the clones of the clones would just poof away. And, Naruto would actually just pull a shun all the way up there onto the roof where his mother is and hug her. Be like, thank you, Mom. His mother just figuring out that all this time, coming up to the date of Mother's Day, he had actually been working on another jutsu. Not just for the purposes of, like, widening his palette of jutsu, like, stuff, but also to basically pull off a big old thank you message for Mother's Day. Anko would just be so overwhelmingly happy. Like, legit happy. And, well, whenever Kakashi would, get back home from whatever the hell he was doing, probably like some sort of Jonin stuff, you would realize that Anko was actually pretty giddy to share some information. And, Kakashi, seeing as, loving husband that he is, does indeed believe Anko whenever she says what she says. Plus, indeed, he does already know about Naruto's ginormous freaking chakra reserves, so he does indeed believe that the Kage Bushin and Nujutsu, whatever the frick, would indeed be an easier version of the Bushin than, the regular Bushin. So, yeah. Basically, even though Kage Bushin no Jutsu has been known to kill people in the past, because of, like, Naruto's ridiculous, like, chakra reserves, because of his ridiculously high chakra reserves, it's not nearly going to be as risky. Plus, Anko even mentions that his shadow clones created shadow clones of their own to help complete the message. And Naruto would just be really happy knowing that, well, he made his mother happy as like a big present for her on, Mother's Day. And, well, Kakashi, even though he usually doesn't, like, ever think about touching this certain thing ever since he quit the Anbu, but he's just like, you know what, my son, he basically just figured out a way to dupe a traitor of the Hidden Leaf before he was able to get his the greedy little hands on the scroll of sealing, pretty much saving us all from what could be known as a fate worse than death itself. So, yeah, I think he deserves a reward, don't you think, Enko? Enko, considering, the whole mention of he hadn't touched this since he left the Ambu, basically Enko now knowing what he's planning on giving his son. And indeed, with all the time that they would have before, Naruto would actually go on his first mission, per se, or do any sort of, ninja activity, would indeed be able to train him in the art of Kenjutsu. Yes, that's right, Kakashi's old sword. He basically takes some time, basically like, seeing as you're a more recent member of the family than I am, you should take some time to spend, the rest of this day with Naruto, as I take the rest of the time with this day, to fix my own little gift for Naruto. Anko's freaking alright with this, because she's actually been wanting to spend some time with her son, which hasn't been so easy considering all the academy stuff that's been going on. They barely ever get to see their son because of just how long the academy days can get, and how, clockwork, like the inner workings of both their jobs. Kakashi as a Jonin, and Anko as a member of her own little thing. So barely ever get to spend time with their own son. Well, adopted son, more like it. And, you guys may be wondering, did Naruto change, the name? Seeing as, he's not necessarily being fathered by, either parent or, the past. Actually, yes, he indeed did. He's basically Hatake Naruto Mitarashi. Yes, Hatake Naruto Mitarashi. Is basically his full name. Hatake Naruto Mitarashi. Is what he decided. And, the third agreed with it, so it was set in stone. Hatake Naruto Mitarashi. And, whenever Kakashi ends up finally giving Naruto the gift, he realizes it's basically his dad's old sword from whenever he was in the Anbu at such a young age. And, Naruto feels freaking amazing after, the whole fact that he's able to finally have a family in his life, and the fact that, this is probably, one of the best things ever. Not only does he have several jutsus down his belt already, but he has his dad's sword from whenever he was in the Anbu. This is freaking awesome to him. And, Naruto actually has indeed decided, seeing as, this sword is, indeed, from whenever Kakashi was in the Anbu, to make him his own little freaking Anbu mask. It's not an actual Anbu mask, but it's sort of like a prototype of one. It's not really that he wants to become a member of the Anbu, but just something to commemorate, the memory of everything. Except for instead of a dog mask that Kakashi had whenever he was in the Anbu, if I'm remembering everything from several what-ifs that I've heard this from, it's a fox mask. Because, he's the container of the Kyuubi no Yoko, Kyuubi no Kitsu, whatever the frick you want to call it. Which, basically, the night that he ends up finishing up on the mask is the same night he ends up getting the sword. And so, just in his excitement, he decides, it's had enough time to heat up and cool down, so he ends up showing his parents the freaking mask. And it's a cute little fox. And Ko is just like, she can't hold it anymore. She can't contain it. It's adorable. And, Kakashi is just like overly floored with, like, all of this holy shitness. Like, his son is taking initiative. Like, a lot of initiative. Like, overachieving, achieving. And basically, secretly, Naruto would indeed take this mask with him wherever he went. He would do the same thing with his sword, actually. Finding a correct, non-worn down by the passage of time sheath for such a blade. And, he'd be pretty good at making this stuff. Remember, he's pretty damn smart. And with Anko added into the equation, he'd be even smarter. So, yeah. Basically, he would kind of, secretly bring, his little Anbu mask with him wherever he went, along with the sword, in its sheath, wherever he went. So basically, the day that they have to go to the academy to, assign their teams and all that shit, and, Jonin and Senseis for those teams and all that shit, basically, the last team to be called up is Team 7. So, yeah, basically, Team 7 is going to be, well, the only people that are left. Iruka's literally, giving them a look like, you guys are the only ones that are left, so, duh. And Sakura and, are starting to realize, where did Sasuke go? And they realize in Sasuke's place is Naruto. And he's the only other person there except for Iruka. And, Iruka's already gotten out of Dodge because he's predicting what's about to happen, and it did indeed happen. Sakura and, are like, why are we on a team with each other? And why are we on a team with Naruto instead of Sasuke-kun? To get into his pants. And, basically, just out of nowhere, they would see that Naruto, they wouldn't see his face. They would see a mask of a fox. And because they both know about the nine-tailed fox, they would be like, they would shut up entirely. They would have been silenced. Like they went under some sort of conqueror's hockey bullshit. Just some major conqueror's hockey. They would just be shutted up whenever Naruto put the mask on. And then he'd finally just be like, he would finally actually speak without being spoken to first. He'd be like, so you finally shut up, both of you. And this is how it's going to be, then I might as well kill the both of you right now. And Something I would say if I, well, didn't have the human decency to know that that's not exactly the best of ideas, considering everything. So, oh my god. From what I can tell, he's going to be late. Or at least, I was given a box lunch. A little bit of something. Well, I wait. Just in case he did indeed try to pull this on us, even knowing that I was here. Then again, I did tell Mom and Dad that I didn't exactly want to be given the special treatment, regardless of the fact that I was their son or not. Well, considering said box lunch, and Naruto would just lift up the mask a little to where they could see his mouth, and, pop the little box open, and, could see on, one side of it, there would be, a little thing that said Dango. And Sakura would be like, she'd also see on the other side, there'd be, a little thing that said Dango. Yes, that's right, Naruto's kind of got into the same habit as, Inko. Anko, is, sort of like a, adoptive mother. And all this because of the fact that Kakashi and Anko are married now in this what if of mine. Naruto has also gotten into the habit of really liking Dango. He still likes ramen a lot, but he also really likes Dango. And also gets really peeved about the whole thing about his father and his adult material that he reads. Yeah, adult material being the books that Jiraiya, makes. Ichi Paradise, whatever the frick. And basically, after Naruto was done with the Dango, he would just find the nearest trash can, put the Dango box away, with all the Dango sticks inside the Dango box, and he would just be like, and be like, don't take you girls off the hook yet. I'm not gonna stop wearing this until you start behaving. And that goes for the both of you. Especially you, Sakura. You're sort of whatever it is that magnetizes you towards the subject of getting in Sasuke's pants. You're not all that much better, And, Sakura and Ino would have just been like, we just got told by Naruto of all people. And Sakura would just be like, herself and her inner self would just be like, Achoo! Just gonna punch Naruto in the mask. He would grab her hand, start twisting the wrist, and be like, I don't think, twist it even more, you should do that to this mask if you want to. Twist it even more. Live another day in your pathetic life, Haruno Sakura. Sakura would just be like, please let go. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. And Naruto, under his master, will be like, weak, pathetic little banshee. You deserve what you get. And Ino would just be like, shit. So this is what he's like underneath the whole quiet kid persona. And Ino would just be like, trying her luck, basically. And addressing Naruto as Naruto-chan. Not really. It's the other way around. But shit. And addressing Naruto as Naruto-kun. Be like, Naruto-kun, I don't think that's the best of things you could have done. But, still, I guess you're right. And Naruto would just be like, I may not have been the best of things I could have done, but it's not the worst either. Trust me, with Anko Midarashi being my mother, there's definitely worse I could have done. Oh, and on the subject of the fact that you just called me Naruto-kun, did you even realize you just did that? And if you did realize, why did you call me that? I mean, I'm all for people actually being affectionate to me for once, besides my parents and Hokage Chichi. But why? I mean, that is unless you didn't notice. And if you didn't notice, well, you did indeed call me Naruto-kun just then. Oh. Well, I've seen you around the flower shop, more than once. You look really weak in the legs for some reason. Wait a second. Away from those romance novels that Dad reads, from several different, girly advice that Anko gives me, like my mom gives me. All the whole, girly talk. You're into me, aren't you? And don't you dare try to lie to me. I'll know if you're lying to me. And considering the fact that was just like, into is a little bit strong of a word, but, you're only saying that because Sakura's here too. If she knew that you were into me, then she would have Sasuke all to herself, and you still can't get off of that guy, can you? But since it's not really for him, it's for the fact that if you did, you would pretty much lose this whole competition thing that you have with Sakura, the one you call Billboard Brow. And I do indeed agree with you, that thing is indeed pretty damn big. Sakura would just be like, hey, whose side are you on? Neither of your sides. Why does there have to be a side? Inko would just be like not Inko, Ino. Ino would just be like, damn, you're good at reading minds, Naruto. It has just been a competition here lately. And Sakura, hearing this, would be like, wait, lately you haven't even been into Sasuke? Sasuke-kun? And Nino's just like, stop calling him that. He's not into you. Do you not notice that? At least I've been able to notice that Sasuke-kun isn't into Sasuke isn't into either of us. So stop calling him that. I think with the fact that you're the top kunoichi and this entire class that she would at least, you know, be able to figure out whenever a boy isn't into you. And Naruto would just be laughing at Sakura's expense. You know, internally laughing. You know, externally he isn't even really showing all that much emotion. But internally he's laughing his ass off. And, well, basically Sakura would be like, well, if you're not into Sasuke, and you don't think I should be into Sasuke either because you say that he doesn't like either of us, then what's the whole deal with Naruto? I mean, do you like Naruto? I mean, he's also quite like Sasuke, so, well, really, do you really think he's gonna like you? Or me? Like either of us? Like, if he's like Sasuke, then we're like, what? Like, as soon as she like Sasuke, he just be like, I am not like Sasuke. Just have like a hand to her throat, pin her up against the wall. I am not like that Uchiha brat. And Ino would kind of get what he means. Like, basically, Sasuke has been getting a lot of shit handed to him, like, ever since, like, as long as she can remember. So, yeah. She can kind of really understand that. And this kind of causes Ino to, like, gravitate to Naruto a lot more, because he's had, like, nothing handed to him. That is until, like, Kakashi and Enko, like, the White Fang, and, you know, Enko's, whatever she's ahead of, you know, that is until they stepped in, basically, and saved him from whatever the hell would have happened to him if it had just stayed him fighting for his own existence. She doesn't exactly, for some reason, she doesn't exactly like the sound of that. And then she just finally, you know, slaps herself in the face a couple times, you know, internally, finally realizing that, why she's feeling all these feelings. You know, just because Sakura is the top Kunoichi doesn't mean that, you know, stupid. Far from it, actually. You know, actually, is able to get the hint. But just in case, she more or less, decides to address, yet again address Naruto as Naruto-kun. Naruto-kun? Please, you said the whole thing about us being a team, so please stop that with Sakura. As much as I indeed admit I like it, I also need to admit that it's not the best if we're constantly at our throats like this. And then you would just hear Naruto say, and that's why, regardless of Sakura's status as top Kunoichi, which I have to admit, anyone who actually decided that that was a good idea to give her that title is completely and utterly fucking brain dead. That's why you're the one. You're the smart one to me, at least. And also, maybe something more. But not in front of Sakura. I would never hear the end of her bitching. And you wouldn't either, and I don't want you to have to go through any more of that than you already have. I think we can all agree that the title of Pink-Haired Banshee is very, very, well deserved. And finally having it basically thought before us both, I think we can both agree. Pink-haired Banshee. And well, just like would just blush and couldn't. She just find that she couldn't, you know, just the way that how Naruto didn't even, have any sort of negative response to, calling him Naruto-kun. And Naruto would even finish it off by saying, "Yes, indeed, Ino-chan." He would say Ino-chan. Like, he would know shit. He would know that shit was going on. Like, Ino doesn't have a freaking Anbu mask to hide her freaking face. She can't hide her face, so she can't hide her blush. Like her several moments of blushing. And, Kakashi would just walk in on, blushing at Naruto. And Naruto having the mask and the sword. And basically Naruto explaining that the only reason he actually has the mask on is in order to get his teammates to calm the frick down. Otherwise, he would have never been able to actually get the point across without actually having to physically hurt them. Like, more than he already had with Sakura whenever he chokeslammed her into the wall. For comparing him to Sasuke. And, well, yeah. Kakashi could already see it from a mile away. That, had like a freaking super crush on his son. Adopted son. And so this is why, well, basically, he would tell, like, Naruto and Sakura to head to the roof. And would wonder what's so different about her. Basically, Kakashi would go overprotective dad mode and be like, if you hurt him. And he would just reveal his Sharingan to the point to where it would be like full bloodlust mode. Like someone just like full throttled Conqueror's Haki upon them. Or at least her. And would be like, I got the picture. And then finally, like, Kakashi would just grab her and like shun all the way to the roof. And well, basically, in terms of like all of the different like greeting shit, like, like learning about each other and shit, Naruto would actually already know a lot about Ino already from like the several times he's visited the flower shop. Like, the whole thing. Yamanaka flower shop. And Sakura, how do you not know all that much about Sakura whenever she won't shut the hell up? And so, even Naruto with the mask off would still call her a pink-haired banshee. And then whenever, would try to say something, Naruto would bring up, he didn't say anything about, like, verbal insults. Like, I may not be trying to kill her anymore, but you didn't say anything about verbal insults. So yeah, try to be a little bit more clear next Ino-chan. And whenever Kakashi would hear Ino-chan, he'd be like, You remember what was said before we got to the roof? He'd be like mouthing this to Ino, and Ino would be like, yes, sensei. Yeah. And Sakura, wouldn't he be relishing in this? Right before, well, she'd basically just get flicked into, like, the side of, like, a pillar that was there. And Kakashi would be like, well, what the hell was that? And then he'd realize that was Naruto that did that. He flicked her into the friggin' side of a pillar. And then caused it to crack and indent in on itself. But not too much to where it, like, fell over. Like, just enough to where he could, like, really show Sakura just how much he wasn't dealing with her bullshit anymore. Either straighten up, or I'm gonna kill your ass, basically. Like, not having any of her bullshit. And that's whenever, you know, when Kakashi basically, he said, don't eat lunch, or else you'll puke, you know, all that shit. Basically, after Kakashi had left, and, you know, Sakura had left, basically before Naruto could leave as well, he would just feel someone's arm wrap around his arm, and then another arm wrap around the other part of his arm, and basically, you know, just pull him in close. And he'd basically just see the very, well, eyes of a certain someone he called Ino-chan. And Ino would just be like, whenever you call me Ino-chan, did you mean it? And considering Naruto no longer has the mask on, she'd be able to tell if he was lying. Or at least, the one thing that neither Sakura or Ino expected is how much of a poker face Naruto has, you know, gotten himself lately. To be, like, unreadable. Unless he wanted you to be able to read him. You just got, like, maximum poker face. So, yeah. Basically, she would be asking him if he actually meant it. And she would also say how she realized about his, you know, level of poker face whenever having to deal with Sakura's, you know, BS. You know, how much of his just overall just loathing about the situation that they're currently in with Sakura. You know, the fact that he's thinking, you know, she should learn quicker if she wants to be able to survive out here in this shinobi world. And not be so attached to Sasuke. At least he was able to, you know, slightly fix that part. But about anything else, he's not so sure. But Naruto, seeing as, well, he releases a little bit of that potential, like, power, and, you know, realizes a couple things dashing from trees. Yeah, Naruto's gotten pretty good at spotting whenever Danzo sent out a couple of root agents to spy for him. Like, you know, he killed one of his root agents, like, masquerading as Anbu. You know, leading a couple actual Anbu to kill him. So ever since, you know, he's gotten a real good ability to just, without even trying, sense if there are any, you know, root people around, and if there are, either scare them the hell away, or if they're not scared away, murder them straight up, just freaking kill their asses. Kenpachi's a Rocky style. And, well, you know, she'd just be like, what was that? Yeah, and, you know, she probably wouldn't even been noticing how much she was saying this, but she'd be like, what was that, Naruto-kun? And, like, Naruto would just be like, oh, nothing, you know, Chan, just a bunch of, you know, peeping toms, I guess you could say. And, you know, whenever hearing about the, like, peeping toms? I mean, people trying to figure out about a relationship, yes. And Ino would be like, Naruto-kun, did you just say relationship? Yes, I indeed did, Ino-chan. Now, come here. I want to... well... Seeing as no one else is here, finally, I get to do this. And he would just plop down a big old frickin' sheet of some sort of weird paper. Ina would be trying to pay attention to it, figure out what it actually is. She would be like, it's some sort of like really long tag or some shit. And Naruto would explain about like, remember whenever Iruka Sensei was telling us about like the summoning arts? Well, I not only have a specific jutsu that revolves around a certain type of animal, but I've also managed to, when considering what sort of summoning contract I should make, because I found the art of summoning rather interesting, and she would wonder why. I found the art of summoning very interesting, like Fuin Jutsu, basically. And, well, considering who my mother is, I automatically knew what I wanted to make my summon contract. And, be like, hey, Naruto, doesn't that hurt? This hurt Hatake Naruto Midarashi? You must really doubt my skills. Summoning Jutsu! And he will just summon forth a freaking snake. Only these snakes, unlike, the snakes that the snakes that Orochimaru summons, all except for Manda, because Manda, and Otto, but Otto was freaking Sasuke's summon. So, all except for, Manda, that's the only one that could really talk. But Naruto isn't really like that with his snake summons. All of his snake summons can indeed talk. And they're all kind of from, a different plane, a different sort of thing, a different affiliation, Orochimaru's snakes are more like Orochimaru himself, evil. But Naruto is not evil, and that would basically, kind of make, a difference in, part of summoning. You would get different, snake summons than someone like Orochimaru. For someone like Orochimaru, the villainous actions of his snakes do the talking for them, their villainous actions alone. Assisting someone like Orochimaru. But Naruto's summons, no, the actions that Naruto is, the person that Naruto is, even, he's a different case entirely. And, well, part of the chakra that actually goes in a summon as well is Ninetales chakra, so he wouldn't admit that snakes aren't the only animals that he can contract, summon. There is another... He only really signed 2 summoning contracts, and the only other summoning contract that he signed was that of the foxes. Seeing as he knows about who he is and what he is, basically, the container of the Nine-tailed fox, he decided he didn't just want to pay homage to his mother's abilities with, snakes, and by, having the snake summons, but he also wanted to sort of pay homage to, what he is, actually, the container of the Nine-tails, the Nine-tailed fox. So that's why he has, for his regular chakra, he has the snake summons. For his Nine-tailed chakra, he has the fox summons. Categorized like that, difference. if he uses more of his regular chakra, it'll be like for the snake summons. And if he uses more of his like fox chakra, it will be like for like summoning the foxes. And both of his summoning contracts are very good summoning contracts, like very good, very powerful summonings. Like no matter what their actual size, like they're all very, very powerful in their own unique ways. Since indeed Naruto by blood is, Uzumaki, no wonder he would have such great skills in freaking sealing. Jutsu, like summoning, sealing, all that shit. No wonder he would be so good at it that he could make 2 different contracts. Contract for different snakes to summon, and contract for different foxes to summon. And the fox summoning contract is actually so damn rare that, nobody would probably even believe that, like, what they were actually seeing before their eyes. So, like, total element of surprise there. And, Ino would just be like, can you summon one of the foxes? I mean, it's not like I don't like your snakes. I mean, they are indeed very polite. That the snakes that indeed did decide to talk to Ino because they finally felt that he was basically, she was trustworthy because, they were calling each other Kun and Chan. And, you don't really do that unless you actually trust someone and love them deeply. Or at least love them enough. So the snakes, in noticing this, they would indeed finally get to, being more vocal with Ino. And so she'd be able to tell that indeed they can talk. Unlike Orochimaru summons besides Manda. And indeed, Naruto would dispel all of his snake summonings. And, well, basically, he would pull out another one of his summoning contracts and be like, ow, bam. Like, summoning jutsu. And he would just, like, summon some foxes to, like, basically, Ino would see a fox come up to her, and, kind of cock its head to the side, be very weary. And, after hearing, Ino and Naruto call themselves, like, Kun and, like, Chan for, like, so many different times, the fox would finally gain enough trust in Ino. Basically, like, the fox would see, Ino's hand and start licking it like a dog. How a dog would lick like a injured, like, a wound thing. Licks the wounds so that they get better faster. Harder, better, faster, stronger. What could kill me only makes me stronger. Right now, that's when I've been on ya. Freaking Kanye West is freaking awesome. And, well, basically, after so long of the fox just licking at the hand, it finally would indeed speak up to Ino. Be like, Ino is your name, right? Well, as long as nothing in between you and our master bad happens, I don't see any problem in this. So, indeed, the fox summoning would just run up on top of Ino, not Inko, and just lick her in the face, and then just run all the way back to where it was, and poof. But she would find that she's nowhere near as grossed out as she thought she would be. Hell, if she could let the snakes crawl all around her, man, she could possibly do anything. And so, yeah, basically, Naruto and Ina would be pretty chill with each other. Seeing as it's going like 2 hours and 35 minutes, no, fixing to be 36. 8, 9, and we hit 36. 2 hours like 36, like, holy shit. Anyways, all Tina does is, yeah, whatever, 2 hours and 36. No, I'm not even doing the intro. This is way too jam-packed as it is for the intro. I mean, outro. Why did I keep on calling it the intro? Frick. I am an idiot. It reminds me of in the whole thing like episode of Bardock, the TFS version. Like, whenever he bites on that one thing, it's like, that is a rock! I think that's the best note I can leave this on. A TFS reference. It's like, that is a rock! It's fucking hilarious!